Good afternoon, everybody. This is Richard Tunes, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons, Chronic Lyme, and Other Skin Parasites, welcoming you to our Sunday afternoon conference call, where we answer some questions and provide information and hopefully the inspiration, because it's a rough path to get your life back. It's not take a pill once in the morning and once a night type of process. It's not that way at all. But I'm here today, November.
Not yet. November 28th. November 28th. Sorry, Richard, I just muted you by mistake.
Okay. November 28th, 2021. And our topic today is worms. Why in the hell would we want to talk about worms? And where are these worms?
Some people think they're coming right out of their skin, although I think those might be keratin fibers that look like worms, but who knows, right?
Yeah, well, we definitely have many people reporting them coming out of their stool, and they're seen in their toilet and things moving around. In fact, Dr. Bransfield here in Middletown was my physician, 15 years ago. I went to see him for the Morgellons, and the appendix that's available with this book has many of the questions he asked on his intake, but he shared with me people bringing these things in, samples of these worms coming from their stool, and he didn't know what to do about it or anything, So today's subject, I basically initially said it's about internal parasites. And then I realized, there are, what I was intending to talk about is not just internal parasites in general, because when we're talking about internal parasites, there's a blog post some time ago, back on 1/5/19, there are basically three types of internal parasites. One is Protozoa. Now, generally, protozoan is not a big deal with people, or not a real threatening situation until you come down with Lyme disease, and then protozoan can be a substantial actor. The second one is helminths, and they're what we're going to talk about today. They are basically nematodes, are worms, and parasitic. It could be fluke or tapeworm. Also descriptive. And then there are ectoparasites, and these are organisms that affect the skin. Well, there's where we have the mites, and that's another topic for another discussion. So today we're going to basically zone in on helminths. All right. Now, before I do go on, just to be safe, the FDA requires me to tell everyone that I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not. Neither is Robin or Ethel or anybody, Nick or anybody in our coaching staff. And before you accept any of our recommendations, before you even start the King Diet or accept any of my recommendations, you're to discuss them with your doctor to make sure they do not interfere with any health problems you presently are experiencing. By law, again, the AMA and FDA require us to inform you that we cannot diagnose, we cannot treat, we cannot cure, we cannot mitigate any skin disease or any disease whatsoever. The only thing that we can do and are allowed to do, and that is educate. And that's what this program is about. It's about education in part. And as I said earlier, along with it, we'll get into some inspiration as well. But so we can educate you how to utilize the King Diet to get the most out of it. We can educate you how to clean them out of your environment. We can educate you how to clean the organisms out of your skin. And we can educate you as to which supplements are best, the targeted supplements that we have to build health and immune functioning. Those are the things that we're allowed to do by law, and that is the context in which I keep these presentations. Now, I am by no way an expert about everything, and if I say something that's incorrect, please forgive me, but I have accumulated a lot of information over the 20 years, and I share that. Now, the thing about intestinal parasites, which we are going to be talking about today, I call them the number 2 enemy when it comes to Morgellons. The number 1 enemy is fungal issues, which we've often talked about. And I don't really know why I call intestinal parasites the number 2, because if you listen to doctors like Dr. Todd Watt and Dr. Jay Davidson, they will tell you that, I guess 20 years ago, it was said that 4 out of 5 people on this planet have intestinal parasites. Well, these guys will tell you, they claim that if you have a heartbeat, if your ticker is ticking, you've got intestinal parasites. Now, intestinal parasites, they claim, and I don't see any reason to disagree, is the number 1 thing you want to deal with if you're dealing with any health issue. If you're dealing with any health issue, no, they're not into Morgellons or really know anything about Morgellons, I believe, but if you're into any health issue, the number 1 thing you want to do is get rid of that variable. You just call them a variable. Intestinal parasites are a variable. Now, there is one particular intestinal parasite that is, I believe, in my experience, more than a variable and very important to deal with, and that is Strongyloides cervicalis. It is a nematode. It's described in some literature as a flatworm, and other literature as a different type of worm. I don't know what the hell it is, but you can look it up on the CDC, and you'll see the life cycle. It lives internal. It comes to the surface of your skin and goes back. It kind of rotates through its cycle. It is contagious by skin contact. It's generally acquired through contact with fecal matter, or, like I said, if you have close personal skin contact with somebody, while this organism's on their skin, it can be transferred, obviously, to your skin. Whether through sexual contact or not, I don't know if that is necessary, but just general skin contact, I believe, is all that is required. Now, this particular parasite has a set of 7 different symptoms. I don't remember all of them, and I don't have the screen up here that indicates them, but number 1 is rashes, usually around the waist area or around the ankles area or so forth. In fact, I experienced Strongyloides cervicalis, and the only one of the 7 symptoms that I had was rash. Okay, that's the only one, but not. There are many reasons for rashes, and strongyloides is not the only one. But constipation, diarrhea, red hives around the anus, loss of weight. These are 4 of the other symptoms. And when you complete the questionnaire, there are 7 different questions, and if you check off all 7, it's pretty certain that, again, we're not diagnosing you, we're just indicating that if you have a high number of these symptoms, you should go to the doctor. And the parasite is not indigenous to the United States. All right, that's number 1. And 20 years ago, there was only one place you could get tested for, and that was in Georgia, and they are out of business. But fortunately, I guess they've recognized, the CDC has recognized that it is more prevalent than we previously thought. And you can get a blood sample taken by your physician and send it off to Quest Labs, and they can do a antibody test and determine whether or not you're dealing with strongyloides. Now, the treatment for strongyloides way back when was Senbenzidol, and that has since been scrubbed. And today's treatment for for the strongyloides is generally ivermectin and albendazole. Now, what I've recently learned is that Senbenzidol, Senben, is the veterinary equivalent of albendazole. So generally, using those two medications is what your doctor will prescribe. He's going to, of course, prescribe albendazole versus Senbenzidol. I don't think any doctors, medical doctors, prescribe Senbenzidol and ivermectin, and that would be the basic treatment for strongyloides. Again, I am educating, and I'm not prescribing or telling you what to take. You discuss it with your doctor, get the test done there, and discuss the treatment with him. Now, when it comes to general intestinal parasites, you can go online, and there are a lot of detox solutions. Generally, this is what they mean by detox, you know, get rid of intestinal parasites. And they primarily are based on wormwood and black walnut hull. Now, wormwood and black walnut hull are tremendous treatment for intestinal parasites, and we'll get rid of them. The only problem is that from the questionnaires that I've looked at over the years, and then goes into the thousands, I can say basically 90% of the people who may be dealing with Morgellons are also dealing with springtails, columbella. And the funny thing is that columbella, they are organisms that exist in nature that decompose things. So in other words, they like wormwood. They like walnut hulls. You know, they feed on that. So they're not the way to go for us. Maybe for others, if you know that you're only dealing with Morgellons and are not dealing with springtails, well, absolutely. That is a great way to go. Now, what we look at generally is a different approach. Number one, Senbenzidol. You may want to start with a more fundamental approach, and that is using diatomaceous earth. A teaspoon in a glass of water. You can put it into your coffee. You know, you could drink it that way, twice a day. If you go into the blog and search diatomaceous earth, you'll find a more advanced protocol, more aggressive protocol, where you up the amount of diatomaceous earth that you consume every day. The diatomaceous earth is like a shredder. It's like when these organisms encounter it, diatomaceous earth begins shredding them or making it uncomfortable for them to be there, and they start leaving your body. The diatomaceous earth also can cross the blood barrier in the intestinal tract and get into the bloodstream and help clean up your bloodstream as well. Another number two is our mouthwash. It's fantastic. It's chemically, it's carbon. Instead of being charcoal, it's liquid carbon. And you can consume that as well, and many people have. So they are two very easy approaches. So you can use the mouthwash to clean your mouth and swish it around for a minute or so and then consume it. And I mean, the first time you do this, you want to be careful about swallowing it because you'll have a tendency to want to cough and may choke. So you want to be careful about consuming it. And then watch out for the diarrhea, because it's going to happen. If you've never consumed it before, you're going to have loose bowels almost instantly. It's that fast. And then we nail a coffin shut for intestinal parasites with Senbenzidol. and that's ordered through the people that we work with in Mexico that also supplies the lefiniron. So you get the Senbenzidol from them, they ship it to you, and I believe you take it for 3 days, and then you're off for 4 days. So you're on 3 days, 1 capsule a day for 3 days is what they recommend, and then 1 capsule, then off for 4 days. Now, if you're dealing with the strongyloides, I believe they would say that during those 4 days that you're off is when you would use the ivermectin for the period of time to get rid of the strongyloides, but I'm not 100% certain about that, but I believe that would be the approach. So that is basically intestinal parasites. Let's see. I was looking for some of the symptoms. Of course, many of the symptoms are very much similar to leaky gut syndrome, distended stomach, things of that nature, and yeah. So I had an experience myself. Now, there are also tapeworms. And the tapeworms, you go beyond Senbenzidol, and let's see which is the medication that you use for the tapeworms. It's Piraxaquante, I think is how you pronounce it, Piraxaquante. Praziquante is the medication. There are different types of tapeworms, but this one will handle the one that's most difficult to deal with. So, Robin, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you're pretty thorough.
Yeah, we can go into questions and answers in a little bit and see if anybody would like. But number one, and this is part of the protocol for everybody that I send out, that I recommend doing the 3 things, the diatomaceous earth. Some people have a preference that they use bentonite clay. Well, I lean towards diatomaceous earth. I think it has more benefits than just bentonite clay does. Consuming the mouthwash and Senbenzidol, and if you get the diagnosis for a tapeworm that is the more resistant, then the Piraxaquante medication the doctor would give you for that.